Alright, let's look at what happened in Season 1 of Good Omens. Our story, narrated by God herself, begins in the Garden of Eden, when a demon named Crowley strikes an unlikely friendship with an angel, Aziraphale. They're both wondering if they did the right, or wrong, thing by tempting the couple and giving them his sword, respectively. We flash forward to 11 years before Armageddon, approximately 2007. Still on Earth, Crowley is tasked with delivering the Antichrist to the Chattering Order of St. Beryl's Nunnery and Birthing Hospital, where the baby is to be swapped with a human child of an American diplomat. A mix-up at the hospital results in a local couple, Deidre and Arthur Young, taking home the Antichrist instead. Crowley meets with Aziraphale and discusses what the end of the world means. Having become quite comfortable with their place on Earth, they hatch a plan to stop the end times. They plan to each influence the boy, hoping to cancel each other out and have him end up neutral. Meanwhile, demons Hastur and Ligor disband the nunnery and burn it to the ground. To enact their plan, Crowley shows up guised as a nanny, like a demented version of Mary Poppins. Aziraphale is hired as the gardener, and each spends the years constantly counteracting each other with advice to the probably very confused young boy named Warlock. They each give reports to their superiors claiming everything is going well. Present day, or 2018, it is the Antichrist's 11th birthday. This is when a hellhound is to be sent to the boy. When the hound is named, the Antichrist will come into his power. Aziraphale and Crowley seek to stop Warlock from naming the hound, but are very confused when it never shows up. We switch to Adam Young playing in the woods with his friends, Pepper, Brian, and Wensleydale. Adam talks about wanting a dog for his birthday, and we see the hellhound approach. It morphs into the type of dog Adam describes, and he names it simply Dog. Aziraphale and Crowley are talking when Crowley smells a change and says the hellhound has found its master, and they realize for certain that they have been influencing the wrong boy. Aziraphale says, "Welcome to the end times." Now we meet some of the other players in the story of the end of the world. A delivery man named Leslie has embarked on a journey to summon the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. First up, he travels all the way to No Man's Land in Africa, and finds a war correspondent covering the signing of a peace accord. The package is an ancient sword, and when she opens it, war has been summoned. Agnes Nutter is a witch in the year 1656, who has been pursued by the Witchfinder Major, thou shalt not commit adultery, Pulsifer. Having tremendous gifts of prophecy, she knows they are coming to burn her at the stake and even chastises them for being late. As they light the fire under her, we see a large explosion. The witch had filled her petticoat with gunpowder and roofing nails. She also sent a book of prophecies to her descendants. This book is called The Nice and Accurate Prophecies of Agnes Nutter, and is known to be the most accurate book of prophecies ever created, including the events that will lead to Armageddon. The book has been passed down through many generations to the modern-day anathema device, who is forced to memorize the passages as a child because she will be the one who saves the world. Love that the family is wealthy because of buying stock in Apple at Agnes's suggestion. In present day, Pulsifer's descendant Newton is struggling to keep a job because computers seem to go haywire around him. He runs into a seemingly madman shouting about witches on the corner, but ends up recruited by the very last member of the Witchfinder army, Sergeant Shadwell. At headquarters, Newton meets Madame Tracy, a medium and sex worker who takes care of Shadwell, though he pretends to condemn her, often saying, "Away with you, harlot." At the same time, an all-grown-up anathema arrives in England in search of the Antichrist. She struggles to get a lock on his location and runs into Adam and his friends in the woods. In town, she is harassed by R.P. Tyler, a member of the Tadfield Neighborhood Watch. Crowley and Aziraphale begin searching for the real Antichrist and take Crowley's signature Bentley to the old nunnery that is now a paintball arena. They find a former nun who explains the records have all been destroyed. On the way back, Crowley accidentally hits Anathema on her bike. Aziraphale uses his powers to heal her and her bike, while Crowley uses his to fix his beloved Bentley, and then they take her home. She accidentally leaves the Book of Prophecies in the car. Aziraphale and Crowley decide to use their separate networks of human agents to try and find the boy. Getting out of the car, Aziraphale notices the book and recognizes its importance immediately. Aziraphale pores over the book and finds a clue to the boy's identity. Using it to call the Youngs, he yells, "Sorry, right number," and hangs up. Now we get a look at Aziraphale and Crowley's relationship through the ages. They are present for many of Earth's pivotal moments, including Noah's Ark, the crucifixion of Jesus, King Arthur's reign, and the early times of Shakespeare. Realizing they are canceling each other out, they make an arrangement to share the workload, each doing some of the other's work to save time. It's now Friday, the day before the end of the world. Adam visits Anathema and she shares her collection of conspiracy theory magazines with him. She tells him she can see auras, but strangely, he doesn't have one. We are told she can't see it because of the immense size of his aura as the Antichrist. Newton sees a hat belonging to his ancestor on display at Witchfinder headquarters, and we learn that the rest of the army has been made up by an unimaginative Shadwell. He started with names like Smith and Jones, but ends up with Agent Saucepan, Tin, Milk Bottle, and Cupboard. We also learn that Shadwell is a human agent for both Crowley and Aziraphale, but neither knows about the other's arrangement. Both ask him to go to Tadfield and find a boy, Aziraphale giving him the address. While clipping articles, Newton realizes that one local area always has perfect weather, and finding out it's Tadfield, Shadwell allows him to go check it out. Leslie, the delivery guy, is in the state of Iowa in the US now, delivering his next package. At a small diner, Dr. Raven Sable is selling a substance called chow that looks and tastes like food but isn't, and comes with a disclaimer button to be pressed whenever it's served that says, "Must not be confused with food," and ends with, "May cause anal leakage." Sable opens his package and sees a set of scales. Famine has been summoned. Aziraphale and Crowley meet to discuss their progress. Crowley suggests Aziraphale could kill the boy and solve their problems. They argue, and Aziraphale still doesn't admit he knows where Adam is. Crowley suggests they run away together, but Aziraphale says they are on opposite sides, and officially ends their arrangement. At his home, Adam is reading magazines, believing all of the conspiracy theories. He falls asleep reading a story about the dangers of nuclear power, and unknowingly makes a nearby reactor core turn into a piece of candy. Adam's dreams continue to manifest with a cruise ship running into Atlantis, and a kraken actually emerging from the sea. Aziraphale tries to convince Gabriel to stop the coming war, referencing the prophecies, but Gabriel isn't convinced, and asks about the flaming sword, the one he gave to Adam and Eve. Michael discovers the ongoing friendship of Aziraphale and Crowley, telling both Gabriel in heaven and Liger in hell about the duo. Our delivery man has 2 more stops. He travels to a river that has been heavily contaminated and finds a woman sitting there. We discover that Pestilence has retired, and she has taken his place. Her package contains a crown. Pollution has been summoned. For his last delivery, Leslie must deliver a message, not a package. He writes a note to his wife and then steps in front of a speeding truck. When the Reaper appears, he delivers the message, "Come and see." The final horseman, Death, has been summoned. Newton receives his Witchfinder uniform and heads to Tadfield. He swerves to miss a pair of tunneling Tibetans, another dream come to life, and crashes his car. Adam and his friends find him and take him to Anathema's cottage. She is expecting them, because of a prophecy, but Adam is distracted by a picture of Satan on the wall, and his demeanor changes. Warlock and his family show up at Megiddo, the site at the end of the world. Hastur realizes quickly that Warlock is not the Antichrist, and there is no Hellhound in sight. Hastur and Liger confront Crowley for answers, but he has set a trap, destroying Liger with holy water. Crowley attempts to run by entering the telephone line. Hastur follows, but Crowley traps him in his answering machine. Hey youngins, that's a device that records voicemails to a tape. Adam is fully in his power now, forcing his friends to stay with him and talking of killing everyone and starting over. When his friends protest, he uses his power to remove their mouths. Newton helps Anathema realize that Adam is the Antichrist, but when they attempt to leave, a tornado forces them back in the house. Feeling like he's going to die, Newton begins to list the things he's never done, which is a lot. Anathema kisses him, and then takes one more thing off of his list. Aziraphale is confronted by Michael and crew, but they are summoned away before they can hurt him too badly. He goes into his bookshop and attempts to summon God, reaching Metatron instead. Shadwell interrupts, accusing him of being a demon, and accidentally backs him into the still open portal, and Aziraphale disappears. Shadwell leaves quickly, thinking he has just successfully banished a demon, but accidentally sets the bookstore on fire on his way out. Crowley goes to the bookshop in search of Aziraphale and finds it on fire. Fearing the worst, he laments that somebody killed his best friend. He grabs one book as a memento that happens to be the nice and accurate prophecies of Agnes Nutter. A shaken Shadwell goes home and confides in Madame Tracy, claiming he is the ultimate weapon. Concerned for his health, she convinces him to take a nap. In heaven, Aziraphale is expected to join the war preparations. He is admonished for losing the body he was issued. Desperate to get back, Aziraphale returns to Earth without a body, appearing as an apparition to a drunken Crowley. They decide to continue to try and stop the coming war and make plans to meet at the Tadfield Air Base, but Aziraphale needs to find a receptive body first. Madame Tracy is performing a seance, and Aziraphale takes the opportunity to inhabit her. He explains the dire need of a vessel, and she consents, waking up Shadwell and filling him in. They take off for the airbase on a scooter. Anathema and Newton decide to read a random prophecy and discover they need to go to the airfield. Adam tells his friends that new friends are coming and calls to the 4 horsemen while rising in the air. The 4 horsemen come together riding very cool motorcycles and take off toward Tadfield. Crowley is stuck in traffic due to his own tampering with the design of the M25. A telemarketer calls Crowley's home and unknowingly releases Hastur, who immediately finds Crowley. The M25 erupts with infernal fire, and Crowley drives the Bentley through the flames, causing Hastur to flee back to hell. Crowley is able to use his imagination to get the car through the flames, though it is still on fire as he drives on toward Tadfield. Adam comes fully into his power, but his friends fight back. Adam allows them to leave, but Dog goes with them, causing Adam to follow. They say he's not their friend anymore, and the problems with the world are a reason to fix it, not destroy it. When it's clear that Dog is choosing his friends, Adam lets out a loud scream and collapses in a heap. His friends go to him, and when he wakes, he seems to be his old self again, and apologizes. He says, "Whatever I've started, we've got to stop it." R.P. Taylor is witness to all of our characters converging on the airbase, helping each find their way there, beginning with the 4 horsemen, then Adam and the kids, and even Crowley in his flaming Bentley. The horsemen illusion their way into the base where death kills everyone in the global communications hub, and they proceed to start World War III. Anathema and Newton find a way into the base through the back fence. Aziraphale, in Madame Tracy, and Shadwell show up at the gate but aren't let in. Crowley shows up and is about to charm the guard when Adam leads his friends through the gate. Inside, Adam puts the soldiers to sleep and calls for the horsemen. Crowley's Bentley explodes, and he needs a moment mourning his beloved car. Aziraphale vanishes the guard so they can get in. Back in Tadfield, R.P. Tyler goes to Arthur Young and tells him what his son Adam has been up to. Anathema and Newton make their way to the communication hub, and Newton admits that he is not as good with computers as he let on. She tells him to fix them, and the computers malfunction enough to stop the bombs. Aziraphale reluctantly attempts to shoot Adam, but Madame Tracy won't let him hurt a child. Adam asks why she is 2 people, and uses his power to give Aziraphale his body back. Adam tells his friends that the horsemen are not real, they're more like nightmares. Pepper steps forward and faces off with war and defeats her. Brian and Wensleydale face famine and pollution in turn. Finally, Adam approaches death and says, "It all has to stop, now." Beelzebub and Gabriel show up to convince Adam the war needs to start now as it is part of the Great Plan. They argue over if the Great Plan is the same as the Ineffable Plan, and finally Beelzebub tells Satan about Adam not cooperating. Thinking quickly, Crowley whisks Adam away to have a chat with him and Aziraphale. They explain that his father is coming, but he is not heaven or hell incarnate, he is human incarnate. They offer to support him, saying, "Whatever happens, for good or for evil, we're beside you." Back at the airfield, Satan shows up. Adam hits him with the "You're not my father." Arthur Young shows up, and Adam makes him his real father by choice. Adam also restores the world to be as it was, with society accepting that recent events were some sort of mass delusion. Aziraphale's bookshop is returned, as is Crowley's Bentley, and any of the lives recently lost, even Leslie is back. Crowley and Aziraphale must face trial for their misdeeds. Both are found guilty, and Aziraphale is to be burned in infernal flame, while Crowley is to be bathed in holy water. Both heaven and hell look on in astonishment as the prisoners are able to survive their punishments. Afraid of what other powers they may now have, both heaven and hell agree to put them back on earth and leave them alone. On their park bench, the angel and demon swap their bodies back, having been impersonating one another. They thank Agnes's final prophecy for telling them to choose their faces wisely. Shadwell retires to a country cottage with Madame Tracy. Adam retains some of his powers, but accepts his father's punishments. Anathema and Newton are delivered a box filled with new prophecies from Agnes, which they decide to burn, allowing Anathema to finally live her life for herself. Crowley and Aziraphale discuss the state of the world, and Crowley suggests heaven versus hell was just a warm-up for when they both will take on humanity. Enjoying lunch at the Ritz, the angel and demon make a toast to the world. And that's where we end Season 1 of Good Omens. Thanks for watching. Please take a second to subscribe, it really helps me out a lot. And I'll see you in the next video.